Hi, I promised to do a follow-up video when I installed a storage battery for my new Deye hybrid inverter. I'll link in those videos if you haven't seen it. And ta-da! Here we are. Today we're actually going to install a storage battery solution in this beautiful 19-inch rack. Now I was looking around for like the storage battery solutions that were compatible with my Deye, and Deye's inverter, one of the reasons that I got it is that it's compatible with a whole bunch of different chemistries. As it so happens, one of my viewers, Peter from the Australian Energy Renewable Lab, contacted me and said, hey, we make renewable batteries. You want me to send one into the mailbag? Beauty, no worries. Obviously this is not going to be a mailbag video, but he's actually on his way here now with the battery. But he also hooked me up with one of these beautiful 19-inch racks that can support up to 6 of their new 5 kilowatt hour batteries. So we're going to install this bad boy, and yes, it's compatible with the Deye inverter, so absolutely fantastic. So apparently it's all just plug and play. Let me show you this rack. It's absolutely brilliant. Check out this thing. It's on wheels, but it also has like adjustable height casters on it so that you can, you know, level it on a level floor. Unfortunately, it's not an outdoor rated rack, but I've got room in the garage here, so we're going to mount it inside the garage. So as it turns out, this one's the runt of the litter. This one only holds 6 of their 5, I think it's 5.1 kilowatt hour batteries. You can get another one which is bigger, which supports 10, but yeah, it's a really nice bit of kit. Absolutely gorgeous, and it's all pre-wired. Check it out. So it's very nice powder coated finish. It's got 4 ports on the top if you want to bring your cables through there, and it's got this very nice little latch. We push on that, we turn that, and wow, look at that, Bobby Dazzler. And these racks are pre-wired. I'm sure you could buy it not pre-wired if you really want to, but the whole point about this is it's completely plug and play. So yeah, you can install like just one battery, and then if that's not enough, you can just like a couple of minutes apparently. It doesn't take much. You just literally screw them in. It's got the earth terminal, it's got all the high current cables all pre-wired to a large bus in there, and then you just plug in the CAN cable. We do get one which is an Ethernet, just a basic Ethernet cable really. This is a beautiful, like almost Rolls-Royce solution for home or industrial storage. I don't know, when Peter gets here we can have a chat to him and see what their main market is, but I would hazard a guess it's a bit more industrial you know, solution than or a large like home, not just your residential but like a farm or something like that that have big solar arrays, and you want a big proper battery solution out in your farm or something like that. So this thing weighs about 90 kilos. It is a bit of a beast. It's not just like it's not 6 rack unit high, 6 batteries, and then you allow, I guess, maybe some space for each one. And it's got like a equipment tray up the top. I don't know, there's got to be a circuit breaker for this thing as well. So I assume he'll be bringing that later. But yeah, we've got these very large, so they're 4 AWG cables. They're nice and flexible, beautiful insulation on them. And they've got these, I don't know, I've never seen this style of right angle connector before. If we take off the plug, that dust plug, the ceiling plug, there you go. It's like a big ass right angle banana plug on the thing, but their batteries are compatible with these, and you just plug them in, and then each rack has a big earth cable wire to it as well. The door is nicely earthed. Excellent. So yeah, you can plug up to 6 batteries, nicely cable tied in there for the negative one, and you can see the bus bars in here. So these 2 giant bus bars go right down the side, and all the batteries are basically in parallel, because these are fully, they've got their own circuit breakers inside, and they're fully managed apparently. And you know, they've got all their own internal safety features. And I do believe we're going to run it in fully self-managed mode, because Deye don't actually support the AERL batteries directly, at least it's not listed on their site. But Peter said that yeah, it like uses a generic protocol thing, so they support the Deye inverter as well as Victron and several other brand inverters within their battery, so they can just run it in like a self-managed mode or something like that. But Peter gets here, we'll discuss that. And they've got some cable inlets on the bottom as well, just in case you want to manage the cables out the bottom instead of the top. But no, there's no ports on the back or on the sides. They do have these panels on the side, but I can't seem to get them out, so I'm not sure what the deal is there. And yes, this is the old, what remains of the old EEVblog lab. So it's a bit of a mess at the moment because the garage is just filled with rubbish from a renovation. But yeah, we're just going to install the battery there, still be able to drive the car in. And do you love, rate my setup? I still haven't 3D printed a case for my Raspberry Pi yet, and it's just running from a battery here. I'll probably install that inside the rack. In fact, because it's a 48 volt low voltage battery system, I could probably get like a Raspberry Pi hat, like power over an Ethernet thing, and yeah, power the board directly from the battery. That'd be kind of cool.
I was going to ask what the plan was, but that works.
No, there is no plan.
No plan. Cool.
And here is Peter Watkinson, CEO, owner and CEO of Australian Energy Renewable Labs.
Research.
Research Labs. I've been saying renewable. Sorry. Yeah,
Nice.
Gift up your company name. Great. Good work, Dave. All right. Give us a brief history, because you're Aussie. Technically a startup, but not startup with a 30-year history.
Yeah, which is a really unique situation to be in. But original AERL dates back to the early 80s, sort of in the pioneering days of the industry. And it was born out of the development of the first maximum power point trackers, which just didn't exist back then and really made a big difference on the economics of PV back when your solar panels were like $800 for an 80-watt panel.
80 watts!
Yeah, 80
Those were
watts.
the days.
So, you know, getting 25 to 30% more out of your $800 panel made a big difference. So original AERL was born, and it sort of started that journey. Industry was much smaller back then. But unfortunately, we lost the founder in 2008, and the business kind of just sort of fizzled out after that. It was one of those one-man sort of show, sort of engineering businesses. But we decided, series of events, decided to relaunch the company in 2018, and have been sort of diving back into the industry on sort of the wins behind the sort of the battery movement.
So what range of products do you have?
Yeah, so we've got now we've got some really nice lithium phosphate 5.1 kilowatt-hour battery modules,
Which we're going to install today.
Yep, and pre-wired cabinet. But you know, we've been in the standalone power space now for quite a few years. So we do PV chargers, communications gateways, a whole bunch of other DC to DC power application products, mainly standalone power stuff.
Well, here's the gateway, so we're going to install that as well. So we've got a cool little gateway, which will talk to the Deye.
Yes, it will. So it'll talk to the Deye. It also talks directly to the batteries over CAN bus. Connects back to the AERL cloud servers, which we have a nice web portal on too, so you can see what everything's doing.
Fantastic. And we have one of the battery management boards. We will take the cover off a battery, but it's basically a bunch of cells and the battery management thing. I'll do a separate teardown analysis video of that. So stick around for that. So this is the only battery that you do?
Yeah, so at the moment,
so this is the new one?
just the latest and greatest. So 48 volt, 5.1 kilowatt hour life squared. So it's a 16S prismatic battery. Cells are manufactured by a company called Great Power.
And I know because a lot of people are going to ask lithium iron phosphate safety versus lithium ion.
So yeah, NMC versus LFP. Yeah, that's a good one. LFP is a much more stable chemistry. It's far less likely to catch fire, but it will still. So NMC is somewhat explosive.
Well, it's actually exothermic.
Yeah, it's exothermic.
So it will heat up.
If you get a short internally in the battery, you're going to get an exothermic reaction, and that's going to lead very quickly to thermal runaway. Which is not good for anyone involved.
No. That's why they recalled the LG batteries here in Australia, because they were lithium ion, not lithium iron phosphate.
Yeah, that was one hell of a recall. But, you know, there is something to be said for the economy of scale that comes with the automotive industry.
Of course.
So with the scale up of LFP and transition into using LFP for automotive applications, LFP is just now dominating everywhere. And of course, everyone's watched the LG recall and gone, no, I don't want to. We don't want to do that anymore. We want to use LFP.
So they're not exothermic in the same way.
No, they're not. So they don't. They're not the same level of fire hazard. But if they do have a short circuit internally or something like that, they will generate gas. So the only time generally that you'll see an LFP cause an issue is if that gas is then subsequently ignited.
Right. So you've got to have a secondary source to ignite it.
That's right, yeah. So whereas the NMC, well, it'll self-ignite very quickly.
It'll self-immolate and yeah.
Yeah, and then everything else is...
So we're good to install in the garage, is what you're saying?
Yeah, that's right.
We just won't use any barbecue lighters around it. Yeah, all right.
That's it. That said, like installing in garage does still come up. There are a whole bunch of Australian standards that you have to adhere to. The standard particular, if someone wants to do a lot of bedtime reading, it's like 100 and something pages, is 5139. And that just lays out all the ground rules around you know, not putting it in front of the front door, not putting it beneath a habitable space, you know, good backing, your safety circuit breakers and things like that. So if you technically you can install these yourself because they're 48 volt.
Yes.
But make sure that you do
still meet the compliance.
Yeah, you got to be compliant because if you're not compliant and you know something happens, you've got a loose connection or something like that, and it does cause a fire. You're going to be in trouble.
Yep. Let's talk about this rack briefly.
Yeah,
what have we got here?
So this is our 6-way pre-wired battery cabinet for the Life Squared. So we have everything in here you need basically to just slot the modules in and plug and play. We've got our 600 amp DC bus, 100 amp per battery. That you effectively just connect off through to.
Yeah, so we'll be joining into here today.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Yep, that's it. Via a giant breaker in there. So that's absolutely.
So that's our DC 2-pole DC circuit breaker that'll be between this cabinet and the Deye inverter, and that's kind of basically it. Well, the only other thing we need to run is a Cat6 comms cable between the batteries and the inverter, and the inverter will self-detect the batteries, and that's kind of it.
Got it. But Deye, technically, you were telling me that Deye don't technically support your battery, but you support them in your firmware.
Yeah, so
instead using a generic protocol, so to speak?
So we don't, we haven't actually worked with Deye to integrate the product, but the industry is moving at the moment towards a little bit of standardization around battery protocols. So there's a couple of particular brands in China that were very dominant for a number of years. And so what started happening is rather than everyone, you know, doing custom integration work with every new product that came, people started just go, well, we'll use their protocol because it's already integrated with that inverter.
Got it.
So now there's a couple of key protocols in the industry that just work with everything. And that's, we're now very, very close to a standard battery comms protocol, and these use that. So effectively that just talks straight to the Deye feed-in tariffs down there.
Yes.
And it sucks. So we're all suddenly getting power bills again, yay.
Yeah.
But hey, the solution to that, and the reason you're getting power bills is because of the fact that you're using power at night when the sun's not shining,
exactly.
And you're buying that from the grid at a rather high rate because that also gone up. So the solution to that is there's tons of excess potential generally during the day. Often we're not home, so we're not using the solar, and that energy is just not being generated. The solar panels are sitting there idle. So the solution to that is put it in some batteries.
That's it, and that's what we're going to do today.
Yeah, and then we can use the power at night and nick that power bill in the bud.
That is the plan.
That is the plan.
Yeah, I think 15 kilowatt hours should cover it. But we'll only run it to 80. We'll only run it to 80%, which is what you recommend.
Yeah. So these we do warranty the Life Squareds to 100%, but you know it's kind of. If you want maximum, you get a lot out of them at 100% for like the 10-year warranty that we do offer on them. But if you want to get a really, really good run out of them as long as possible, 80% is the way to go. So so 0 to 100% to 20% is sort of the area you want to play in terms of your charge and capacity usage. So
these are self-managed batteries, right? They have a self-management system.
Yeah. So there's actually one of the key unique things about the Life 2 is they're either or. So historically in our space, we've had a whole bunch of lead acid replacements that are self-managed, which means they have no comms, they don't talk to the inverter, which I don't really like because it's like, it makes for a slightly unstable system when things aren't talking to each other.
Yes.
So the way that we work with these is we take the best of both worlds. We have comms, but if we lose comms, for example, like a mouse decides it likes the taste of your Cat6 that's running in the wall, rather than, this is more critical for standalone power applications, but rather than turning off the power and, shutting down the system, we'll actually revert to a sort of self-managed mode.
Oh, okay.
And keep
right, so it's not self-managed until there's a fault. Is that...
Unless you're using it with an inverter it doesn't talk to, and then it can be
okay,
installed self-managed. Yeah, so it's
But
like...
your one does talk to the Deye in a basic way?
Yeah, so it does. It's fully integrated with the Deye based on that comms protocol we were talking about earlier. Yeah, most of the... So if you're playing in the standalone space, you would have heard of Victron.
Yep.
Also fully integrated with Victron products through their Servo GX. And then we do a standalone configuration, semi-standalone configuration. If you use the Australian inverter brand, Selectronic, down in Melbourne, with our chargers, basically. So that the inverter just kind of adverts and does nothing else, and then our chargers have a managed communication system with the chargers, and they're kind of the three main configurations that these are installed in at this point.
Are your chargers suitable for residential?
Yeah, they are.
Use?
Yep, they are. They're not IP rated though, so it does
they've got
kind
to
of
be
limit.
in a shed somewhere.
Yeah, you kind of need a power room or something like that.
Got it.
But yeah, so that kind of limits their use cases.
Are you working on that? Because you talked about you might have an outdoor rated rack at one point?
Yeah, we got stuff coming in that space. So yeah, no, stay tuned. We'll definitely have some cool alternatives to integrating it with the Deye in the next sort of 12 months or so.
And once we get batteries installed, like if we're drawing, 5 kilowatts, does it come evenly from all the different batteries, or does it? How does that work?
So, unlike a analog self-managed BMS, which really heavily relies on cable impedances and cell matching and things like that, our BMS is a little bit smarter than that. It's we're actively managing, and we've got way less cells to manage too, being only 16
Oh yes, of
cells.
course. Yeah, right.
So we don't have long strings of cells. We're not managing strings, we're managing individual cells in the pack, which means it's substantially easier to regulate. But basically, we'll actively balance all the cells in the modules. So even if one battery is doing slightly more, effectively they'll talk to each other and balance it out, and then make sure that the current load is nice and even. Yeah, for this sort of application, 48 volt makes sense, but if you're doing larger applications, that's when it really makes sense to look at high voltage.
All right, well, let's install this sucker, shall we? Ooh. And the solar installers have failed again. They've put an extra hazardous DC voltage sticker on here over the cover screw, one of the cover screws for this. And that one's overlapping, but at least you can slip it under. And yeah, so they did that on the second time they came out, because I have taken this cover off before, didn't have it. Unbelievable. So they failed 3 times now. No, wait, they failed 4 times. This one here does actually not. Look, they've actually reamed this, like you can see the mark where they've like reamed this thing out. They've done something with that screw. All the others were fine, but no, they've completely like stripped that somehow. Yeah, they've bloody stripped it. No, I need something else to put in there. Something else to get out a stripped bit. Unbelievable. Managed to hammer in a flathead, and I'm unscrewing it. Is it going to come out? You see why they put the sticker on it now? Bastards. Ugh. Come on. So yeah, they obviously, that sticker they added separately. That was like after, because I was originally able to take this off and slide it under that one. They've added that when they've bodged the bloody screw. That is turning. Yeah, the thread's probably gone as well. I'm probably going to have to just lever that out. Yeah, come on. They literally screwed the inverter. No, we can't get it out. But it acts as now a convenient pivot point. Unbelievable.
Still not going to lose it.
Oh, what a bunch of cowboys. All right, we are ready for crimping. And for those wondering, yes, we don't need conduit here because we've got double insulated cable. So it's equivalent to a conduit. There you go. There's that double insulated cable. It's very schmick. It's thick as, but super flexible. I really like this stuff. All right, it's crimping time. Haven't used this yet. I've got it set to 35 because we've got 35 square mil cable and we've got a 35 square mil lug. And how many strands is this cable? It's enormous. Okay, here we go. That was too easy. Wow. Oh.
I'd go down a size.
That says 35.
I did notice on the reviews on that tool it said go down a size.
Go down a size. Don't buy the cheapy tool. That didn't even crimp that at all. That labeling's got to be offset. that labeling's offset. So I'm going to go down to 25. There you go. I think that's going to do it.
That looks better.
Yeah, I'd love to know how many strands are in this. Probably look at the data sheet, find out, but damn. Trying to thread that in without losing a strand. Now, let's try it again. There we go. Oh,
10 minutes of us trying to crimp a cable.
crimp a cable. I won't give up my day job. Yeah, it slides off real easy. It's better if I have it up like that. Maybe you can hold the cable, perhaps. Or...
That's better.
There we go. Ta-da! All right, let's try that again. There we go. We were just wondering how to get our pre-terminated Ethernet through the rubber grommet here. They've thought about it. They've thought about it. I was about to cut it. There is a split there, so we can put our cable through, our pre-terminated cable through this, and then feed it up the clacker. Bob's your uncle. Don't have to re-terminate it. Beauty. And there we go. We are terminated. Red to red, black to black. That helps. That'll ruin your day if you get that wrong. I think we're good to go. Ready to insert modules now, yeah?
Yeah, pretty close.
Do it. And we're just adjusting the feet here, because as I said, it's got the rollers plus the feet as well. So
Rollers are just for moving, not
Yep.
for putting the battery.
Okay, so it's not really for the weight.
Yeah.
Right,
So
okay.
you drop the supporting feet for before you load the batteries
Then
in.
we'll have to shuffle it in place. Yeah. All right, no worries. Last step, crimp these. Hasn't slid.
Nice.
Excellent. They're on the correct orientation. Then you can see copper, can you?
Yeah.
Cool bananas. Now comes the fun part, installing the battery. What do these things weigh? 48 kilos?
Yeah, they're a two-person lift.
Yeah, it's hard to get right down there. So.
All right.
Oh yeah, the upper ones you could do. The lower ones, no.
Yeah.
All right.
Just get those and slide it straight back, nice and easy. And just make sure those cables are clear.
Nice. Oh,
Those in place.
how do you like our installation?
It looks very good.
Wife happy.
It's got to be neat, and as long as it's neat.
As long as it's neat, she's happy.
It's neat. We put the time and effort into making it neat, so.
And yes, the night time has come very quickly here. Took us longer than expected, but it's still switched off, but our inverter is on. Check it out. Look at that. Because it's just powered from the battery. The battery is now connected. So we did get it around the right way. No worries. And yep, and we measured it at 52 volts or something. So comes shipped about 40% pre-charged. Nice. So it's safely connected now. We can switch everything back on, I guess. One of the coolest parts is connecting it up. So we take the caps off, and we've got safety caps on there. And does that unscrew? No, that's just a ring. Okay. And that just plugs in, does it?
Yep. Just press with your palm.
Oh, wow. That is a beautiful connector. Oh, and then it clips?
Yep.
Oh, it clips when you go sideways like that. Oh, and then if you want to take it off, you squeeze those and you can pull back out. Wow, that's great. This is an awesome solution. Oh, we have to put the earths on, don't we? Oh, yeah. Right, yeah. All right, we'll do that in a minute. It's much easier to do this than it is to wire up the cabinet, that's for sure. Fantastic. That is a beautiful design. All right, time to switch them on. And whoop, whoop. I really like the daisy chain comms there. The gateway's underneath, for those wondering where it is. Just sit underneath.
Away.
Yeah. So do those LEDs change different colours for different
so
status?
that's your state of charge there.
Oh, right, okay.
That's your active, and this one will blink red if there's an alarm of any sort. Yeah, like if you're missing the master or something like that, it'll kick up a fuss and then go into self-managed mode, but it'll display it there. And
we will have a web interface once I hook up the Ethernet to the gateway.
Yes.
But it'll see this works without any setup, right?
Yeah.
We have not done any setup whatsoever. We just plug it in and it works. But if you want to fine tune, because there's a software current limit, is there? You said
in the day, yeah.
Right. Oh, okay. So I've got to do it on the
these are all
side.
contained. You don't need to touch anything but plug them in. But yeah, on the inverter we can tweak some settings if we want to.
Thank you very much. This is beautiful. Let's go turn on the inverter. Switch her on.
Oh, we got an AC light.
AC light is good. Don't have my proper video light, sorry for those playing along at home. Well, yeah, we do actually have to set it up, don't we?
Yeah, It's only one setting.
It
does take about 30 seconds or so for this thing to realise the grid's back though.
Yes, it does. Yeah, it takes a minute, I believe. I've already timed that.
By default, you're not seeing, you're seeing voltage here, but you're not seeing any BMS connection. And that's because the Deye hasn't been told it's got a battery connected. So actually, I'll just go back. So you go to the settings, battery setting, lithium.
Yep.
Battery capacity, what have we got there, 300 amp hours?
Why are we beeping?
Why are we beeping? We're beeping because, don't know.
We're off grid?
System work mode.
It disconnected us from the grid.
Did.
I've installed the current clamp, but I don't know if that's the right way around, so it's showing an arrow going into the battery. Does that mean it's charging the battery? It doesn't tell us that it's connected to the battery, does it?
To
the comms. It knows the voltage.
We've got the BMS here.
Oh, right. Oh, so that comes from the BMS?
Yeah, it's seeing the battery.
Right. Okay.
2 hours later.
Info around what the...
All right, it's the next morning and the sun is up. We managed to get the thing figured out last night, but it was a lot of effort. So let's go down here onto Solar Assistant here. Sorry, didn't have time to build it to scale or to paint it. And we can see that the solar is producing 2380 watts, and the battery is charging at 2300 watts, and the load, the house load, is only 262. So the residual is going into the battery. All right, here you go. We are now fully operational. Check this out. Now, I've done a second channel video on this, but basically the input to the Deye inverter here, the solar input, which is these two strings down here, of course, it's generating 3.22 kilowatts, and you'll see that that's flowing into the Deye inverter itself. That's what the on represents, and then it's flowing out 4.4 or minus 4.4 because it's charging the battery, the DC battery, the storage battery here. So why is it different like that? It's because I've got what's called AC, well, what Deye call AC couple mode. I think it's a terrible name, but basically there's nothing coming into or out of the grid here because I have, of course, this separate Enphase solar system, which this Deye inverter knows nothing about. So what I've got with AC couple mode, it takes whatever the Enphase is producing minus whatever the house load needs. Now, of course, it's measuring 0 for the house load here because this doesn't know, it doesn't have a load current clamp on there. So it only has a current clamp for the grid side here. But it knows that there was excess energy going into the grid here, and now it's diverting that into the battery as well. Hence why we've got 3.2 plus, I don't know, an extra 1.2 kilowatts or something from the Enphase system minus whatever the house is using at the moment and going into the batteries. That's really cool. So that AC couple thing, for some reason, is in the gen port here, and AC couple on grid side feature. Took me a while to figure that out. It's not obvious in the manual. The Deye manual sucks. And that's the thing with this Deye inverter. The manual looks like it's got everything in it, but you can't understand the damn thing. So it's actually really complicated to set this up. Anyway, system work mode, I'm doing 0 export to CT here, which requires the current clamp, and I've got load first mode on. So basically, it's going to prioritize the load. So basically, if I go turn on the oven or my EV now, it'll start, if I don't have enough solar from both of these systems, it will start sucking it from the battery. And I think for now that seems to be an acceptable way to do it. So I can go actually turn the oven on and show you that. Right, so I've turned on the oven and also the aircon, and you can see that we're still generating the same solar, but you can see that it now is going, 2.6 kilowatts is going from this Deye inverter into the load, and whether or not that comes from the solar or comes from the battery depends on, well, how much solar I'm producing at the moment for the string hooked up to the Deye. So at the moment there's just a smidge of power left over to go into the battery. Oh no, there's some coming out of the battery now, a little bit coming out. So ultimately how much current I've got to charge the battery here depends on what the two grids are doing plus what the house is doing. And this Deye doesn't have full visibility over the load in the house. It doesn't need to. It just needs that current clamp on the grid there to know whether or not current's flowing out, in which case, well, we want to divert that back into the battery, thank you very much, in AC couple mode, or we're going to power the house. So yeah, very cool. But at night, of course, it all comes from the battery here. And now I've plugged in the EV. You can see 4.8 kilowatts there, and this 7.5 kilowatts is now mixed up because this also could come from the battery as well. So yeah, it's a little bit confusing, but you can see now that we're drawing 2 kilowatts from the battery there because, well, 3 kilowatts is coming from the solar and 2 kilowatts from the battery, so that's the 5. But we've got an oven, an EV, and an aircon, plus I think my heat pump hot water system, which draws 1 kilowatt, might still be going, I'm not sure. So there you have it. It's a rather complicated and delicate balance between solar sources and the battery and the loads, and whether or not we're getting decent solar at the moment, but it is winter time here. But there you go. So drawing a couple of kilowatts from the battery, but it doesn't matter whether it goes into the EV or goes into some other load. It all comes out in the wash. So there you have it. That's the install of the AERL 15 kilowatt hour storage solution here, which check out my EEVblog 2 channel, which I'll link in down below, where I go for some cost payback analysis on this, and all sorts of other analysis as well, which I cut from this video because it was too long. So thank you very much, Peter, who's a long-time viewer. He's like one of my original viewers, I think he is, for supplying this awesome home storage battery. But spoiler on that, I've just had basically one day in the last couple of weeks where this battery has lasted all night, because we haven't changed our habits at the moment, and it just depends on what you put on. You put on the oven, you might forget you needed to charge the EV, so you might have to quickly charge that up at the night for something tomorrow or something like that. But turn on an aircon or two and put on an oven for an hour or two, and yeah, you can really start draining some power. So I thought 15 kilowatt hours might be enough, but I think I'm going to quickly have to buy another battery to slot in here at least. And I don't know, I thought when I originally got this rack, I'll never fill it up with 6 batteries. But looking at my nighttime usage, it looks like, yeah, I could definitely use a bigger battery than 15 kilowatt hours. So this is bigger than a Tesla Powerwall. So I'm going to expand it to at least 20, maybe 25, maybe the full 30. We don't know. So anyway, yeah, check out the videos on the second channel, Extended Talk with Peter. We talk about all sorts of stuff to do with batteries in the industry and all sorts of things. And also analysis video looking at the data from the Solar Assistant system, which is that Raspberry Pi thing, which talks to the Deye inverter. Because the Deye software and cloud and all that rubbish, it's just garbage. So yeah, I need a solar assistant. It's really quite cool. So check out those videos. So thank you very much, Peter, from AERL for supplying this bad boy. And yeah, this won't be the end of my battery videos. Anything you want to see, leave it in the comments down below. Catch you next time.